Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician. And if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Today, I want to talk to you about some problems described to me in an email sent by a viewer. I'm going to call her Katie. Katie, if you're watching this, thank you for sharing. I hope that the thoughts, the advice I have here will be helpful to yourself and other people watching this video. So let me share with you two emails that I received earlier today. The first one is from 10 a.m. this morning. Hi, I've been watching your videos and I have a few questions. What supplements are good for insomnia? I have tried everything under the sun and nothing seems to work. My doctors have given me the strongest medications, but nothing seemed to work. I had a polysomnography, a sleep study, and the neurologist said I don't reach REM sleep. She gave me papers and went on to the next patient. It was not a good experience. I was a very good sleeper until 2015. One night I was wide awake and it continued up until now. Last week, I read an article about fatal familial insomnia and I'm wondering if I could have that. I feel tired, fatigued, and I age so fast. I lost so much of this, including my job. What advice do you have for me? I replied back and said, I'm sorry to hear this, and I went on to ask a few questions about her sleep pattern. And she said, I think 6 hours is good enough, but my sleep is fragmented, and I'm wondering why the strongest medicine will not put me to sleep. I explained that to my neurologist, and she gave me 40 milligrams of trazodone. Katie describes how she eventually goes up to 120 milligrams, which is still not working. I'm going to leave the email there, and I have written down some points that I want to make on a piece of paper here. So if I keep looking at this version, you know why. So firstly, again, Katie, thank you for sharing this. And what I'm going to talk about today is general advice. You know, not specific to you, but it's general advice. But you might find something that applies to you here. And so may other people watching this movie. So first of all, about supplements. I get questions about this all the time. I often have patients bring supplements of various kinds to clinic to discuss them. And I will say the following. If somebody has, milder trouble sleeping, nothing really severe, then taking melatonin or valerian or hops or magnesium or something like that may be helpful. And if it is helpful, of course, that is fantastic. And I always tell them to keep doing that. But if you have, more significant insomnia, more, long-term problems that are more severe, then very rarely are these types of, natural remedies, supplements enough to help you sleep good. If I knew of like a combination of supplements, a combination of natural remedies that was like that magic, silver bullet, I would share it with you, of course. But unfortunately, for most people with more significant insomnia, there is no such, silver bullet or a kind of an easy or simple way to get better. And that's part of the bad news, let's call it that. But I have some good news later on as well. So that was the first point. Second point, you're bringing up, Katie, here. Why is the strongest sleep medication not enough? And most of the time, it's because even if the medication is very potent, it is not addressing like the underlying problems of insomnia. And so no matter how sedating, how strong this hypnotic is, it is not enough to make you sleep. In fact, no medication except for things that are used for general anesthesia can make you sleep. In fact, even anesthetics are not actually making you sleep. They're just putting you in another state of no consciousness. But no medication can actually make you fall asleep. There are definitely medications that can sedate you to a point where if you have a natural sleep drive, if your body is ready to sleep, they can make that a little bit easier. But there are really no medications that can simply, put you to sleep, if you will. So I'm sorry to hear, of course, this is not working for you. Not surprised. Again, something I hear all the time in my clinic. Now, you mentioned here that you had a sleep study that showed no REM sleep. You didn't reach REM sleep. And there can be many explanations for that. But when you look at a sleep study and you see absolutely no REM sleep, the first thing you do as a sleep doctor is you look at, is this patient taking any type of antidepressant? And because very commonly antidepressants suppress REM sleep, so you don't see any of it. And I don't know if this applies to you or not, but that's just a point I wanted to make. And the second one is, although having a good amount of slow wave sleep, like the deep sleep that we see in the early part of the night, and REM sleep is, generally speaking, it's a sign that you have good quality sleep. When you do a sleep study, you're not in your home environment, you're hooked up to all these cables, so if the sleep stages look a little bit off, it could be, of course, also because of that environment is not the one you're normally sleeping in. So that's just a little bit of a comment on that. And now, fatal familial insomnia. As I mentioned in my video about that, I'm always a little bit hesitant about even talking about it because I feel it sometimes brings up so much anxiety that is most often uncalled for. And again, like if you have a concern about that, of course you have to see a doctor, like in real life or some type of telemedicine consultation or something like that. But again, some general thoughts on that. So there's two types of deadly insomnia. One is the familial version, and people that have that would most likely know of a family member who died because of this condition. So generally speaking, if you don't know of a family member who died from fatal insomnia, it is unlikely that you have it. But then there's the sporadic form. So there's the form of what's called fatal insomnia, where you don't have a family member. The condition arose like in yourself by a spontaneous, like a genetic mutation. But the sporadic familial insomnia is really a misnomer. It's really unfortunate that condition is even called an insomnia, because insomnia is not really part of the major symptoms of sporadic fatal insomnia. It really starts with like neurological problems with balance, cognitive problems, and problems with coordination, and neurological. It's really more of a neurological problem. So again, general advice here: if you don't have any neurological problems with balance and coordination and things like that, it is unlikely that you have sporadic fatal insomnia. So a little point there. And then now the good news. The good news, you may have heard me say this before, but the good news is it sounds like you, Katie, and many other people with insomnia have not yet tried the most effective way of treating insomnia, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And you mentioned in your email to me, Katie, that you were going to maybe ask about somebody who can help you that. That's fantastic. I encourage you to do that. But cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is not that complicated. To give you some thoughts, generally speaking, again, if somebody tells me, I think I need to sleep 6 hours, I tell them, and start off by spending exactly that amount of time in bed, not more. A lot of people with insomnia tend to go to bed early to try to get enough sleep. Generally speaking, not a good idea. You should in fact do the opposite. So if you need to get up at, let's say, 6 in the morning, then I would say go to bed at midnight, not before midnight. And if you don't feel sleepy at midnight, don't go to bed. Wait until you feel sleepy. And that's generally always good advice. Never go to bed if you don't feel sleepy. Now, the morning time is the opposite. That is very important, to be super rigid, like every morning, at least for the first week or 2 weeks. you have to get up at 6 o'clock in this scenario. And then the first week is usually tough. Second week may also be tough, but usually things start to fall into place, and people start falling asleep quicker and are able to sleep through the night. And when that happens, if they're like actually sleeping for almost 6 hours or so, then you can like gradually, little by little, spend a little more time in bed until you reach your full potential. Your full potential may be 6 hours. Maybe you're going to do really well if you sleep exactly from midnight until 6. You never quite know until you try this. But if you haven't done it, do watch my video, Insomnia Insight number 1, and there's a follow-up, Insomnia Insight number 14 and 21. I have found a really good explainer video on bedtime restriction, which is a really key cognitive behavioral therapy technique. There's a link to that in the description. I'm also going to send a link to a series of videos that I found very recently that I think were really good. Now, Katie, please let me know how things are going over the next days and weeks. And anybody else out there, if you have any questions, problems, concerns, drop me a comment here or send me an email at insomniainsight@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to try to give you some general advice. Thank you for tonight, and hope to see you back here very soon.